I'm Elijah.
And I'm Isaiah.
And we're your anchors for Monday, December 3rd.
Please stand for the pledge.
Today is National Roof Over Your Head Day.
Your lunch options for today will include rice bowl, pizza rippers, turkey and cheese deli sandwich, big uncrustable, and chicken patties.
Our sides today are Oriental blend and a fresh veggie tray.
In national news, Luke Michelson quit his high-paying job so he could build beds for kids who don't have any. Here's CNN with the video.
Twin Falls is a very small town community made up of a lot of farming and agriculture. I grew up here. I'm just a farm kid from Idaho. What I didn't know was there's kids next door who are struggling. When I was a youth group leader in my church, we discovered there was a family in need where they had kids sleeping on the floor. So we built this bunk bed and delivered it to them.
These bottoms are taut.
It was such an eye-opener to me. I thought, you know what? There's no kid that's gonna sleep on the floor in my town if I had anything to do with it.
Mattresses, sheets, safety rails, side rails.
These kids that we serve, they come to us from all walks of life. People trying to get back on their feet.
Usually finding shelter, food for the kids are priority one. Beds are just a luxury for some of these families. All right. Hello, can you show me where your bunk beds are gonna go? All right, let's go.
I had some life changes and became a single mom of 5. We just kind of had to start all over again. I didn't have nothing. They'd crash on the couch or crash on the floor. It's been tough.
Where do you guys want your bed in here? You want it right here?
I think we want it over here.
When we deliver a bed, you walk in and these kids are just so excited.
Here we go, guys.
We make sure that they understand that this is your bed. Since 2012, we delivered over 1,500 bunk beds,
Right there's good.
or helped 3,000 kids get off the floor.
Come on in. Welcome.
The way we build bunk beds is by getting the community involved through what we call build days.
Wow, good vermin.
We actually teach these volunteers how to build beds. They jump in, and 4 hours later, dusty, sweaty, they got smiles on their face because they just built 40 beds.
All right, let her rip.
When I stumbled upon this need, I had a lot of good things happening in my professional career. I was making a 6-figure salary, but I fell into this need that I discovered wasn't being fulfilled by anybody. I quit my job because I wanted to do this full time.
Before it was kids on mattresses on the floor and in bed with mom, and now they all have their own beds.
You want real joy. Stop looking at yourself and see how you can help someone else.
These bunk beds won't break, I promise you.
It doesn't matter what nationality, creed, race, religion, we don't care. We're humans helping humans. And these are little humans, and they need our help.
Sleep in heavenly peace, okay?
Yep.
All right, we'll see ya. Bye-bye.
Former President George W. Bush died over the weekend. He was president when the Soviet Union disbanded the military action when the small country of Kuwait was invaded.
Although Alaska has multiple earthquakes a day, it recently had an earthquake that was 7.0 on the earthquake scale. The earthquakes triggered a tsunami, and the governor declared a disaster over the weekend after multiple aftershocks continued to shake the area.
Thank you, Anchors. LC plays LN and boys basketball this Wednesday. Tickets go on sale during lunches this week. Pre-sale tickets cost $6 or $10 at the gate. Both LC and LN are ranked in the state. The last day for swimming and diving trials is today. Anyone interested should report to the media center. Wrestling and swimming and also diving are open to MSDT 6th graders. So if you have a younger sibling or neighbor interested in these programs, be sure to let them know about the opportunity. Wrestling conditioning is on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and so you can still join a team. Winter cheerleading tryouts are on December the 10th and the 11th. Girls basketball tryouts are on December the 11th and the 13th. Finally, over the weekend, our 8th grade boys basketball team defeated Eastwood and Lyndhurst on Saturday to advance to tonight's Marion County Tournament Championship game. Starting time is 7:30 versus Fall Creek Valley at Southport High School's Fieldhouse. Today will be a high of 39 degrees and a low of 29 degrees, along with an 86% chance of snow and a 20% chance of rain. Now back to our anchors.
Thanks, Taj.
Any 7th grader interested in the 8th grade annual trip to Washington, D.C. should have their parents attend an informational meeting on Monday, December 10th at 6 p.m. in the LGI room. Please enter through door 14. Please have your parents plan now to attend. If they are unable to make this meeting, see Ms. Sams. This is the time to start planning for next year's trip.
Here is Miss Trotter with a yearbook announcement.
Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to come on here very quickly to say this is a good time for you to order a yearbook or start a payment plan, because I place our school order in January. So if you want to be guaranteed a book, this is the time to at least get a plan started. If you don't have one of these forms, I can get one for you. Bring me any amount of money. When we send out reminders, and we do this every few weeks, it's just reminding you what you have left to pay, and there's no pressure to pay. You can pay whenever you have a chance. All right, thank you.
There's a jazz band concert on Wednesday at 7 at LC.
The celebrity birthday for today is Little Baby, who is a rapper.
Our random fact of the day is hummingbirds can weigh less than a penny.
Now to Mr. Harsha with the rest of your morning announcements. Have a great day, Bruins.
Good morning, Bruins. Just to reinforce what the anchor said, the LNLC basketball game is this Wednesday. We've been making announcements. We put out some things on Twitter. We put some things out on our Sunday night call. But I want to make sure that students understand. Pre-sale tickets are $6. If you try to buy one at the door, that will be $10. So save yourself some money if you're going to go to the game and buy your ticket in advance. The other thing I need you to know is that you absolutely will not be admitted into that game by the high school if you don't have your Belzer student ID. So today or tomorrow or Wednesday, if you need an ID because you want to go to that game, everybody should have their ID anyway. If you don't have your ID, you will not be permitted in that game without it. So make sure you've got your ID if you plan to go to that game on Wednesday night. Guys, we're getting ready to show the first of 3 videos. Last week, Mrs. Neal got on BTV and was talking to us all about some of the rules and expectations that we have here at Belzer and some of the reasons that we have those rules. So there was a survey that engaged you in those discussions. And today and tomorrow and the next day, we're going to watch some short video clips as we talk with Mr. Bergman and Mr. Smith about the importance of following some of those rules. Teachers, I want to make sure that you get your class in a setting this morning where they can watch this video and listen carefully. As you know, guys, as we try to run this building, as I mentioned last week, the only way this is going to work is if we are all working together. So teachers, we need all of you. I'll give you one example right now. Last Friday, we talked about coats. I know the weather's getting colder. We've got a lot of students who are wearing big, bulky coats around the school. And what we heard from students was that many of you didn't know how to open your locker. So we made a big push. Mrs. Neal and a lot of our student assistants and student services helped tons of students last week with their lockers. So I'm going to ask right now, college prep teachers, have a conversation. I don't want you to send them out in the hallway right now because I want them to watch this video. But have a conversation today with any students that are in your college prep right now that still have a coat on. The expectation is that coat goes in the locker. So they'll have a passing period here between college prep and first. They can put it in that locker. If they can't get in their locker, ask a teacher for help. Guys, in your Skyward account over to the left, it says locker. It's got your locker number and combination right there. If you don't know how to do it, ask a friend, ask a teacher, come see me, whatever we need to do. So everybody, please tune in to this short video about our rules and expectations here at Belzer.
Good morning. We have Mr. Smith and Mr. Bergman here with us today, and they are going to respond to the questions that were on the survey. So we're going to begin one. Mr. Bergman, would you like to take that one?
Absolutely. Good morning, Bruins. I think it's important that we revisit some of our rules and regulations now that we're getting into the school year a little bit. And there seems to be a little confusion on some of these, so it's important that Mr. Smith and I clarify these for you. So the first question was about is it appropriate to use your cell phones at lunch? And the answer to that, of course, is false. And about 90% of you got that right. Cell phones need to be in your locker during the school day. Mr. Smith and I regularly get students coming up saying, hey, I lost my phone, can you help me find it? And the answer to that, of course, is no. As it says in your student handbook, it needs to be in your locker. So if you put it there first thing in the morning, it's not going to be an issue, it's not going to be a disruption to the classroom, and it's going to be safe, and you're not going to worry about losing it.
Also, to add on that, during lunch, also besides cell phones, there are also no computers out during lunch as well, because at that point it becomes an issue. We don't want them to get damaged because they're quite expensive, so therefore no cell phones as well as no computers during lunchtime.
Very good.
Second question. It is appropriate to confront someone in the hallway during a passing period if you have a conflict with another student. The answer to that question was false, and 83% of you got that right. It is never okay to approach a student in the hallway if you have an issue with them, because if you approach that student and they say, yeah, there's an issue, then what are you going to do? Now you feel like you're on the spot, you have to respond, it becomes a tough situation for you as well as the other student you're confronting. So if you have an issue with a student, always come down to Student Services, ask for your guidance counselor. If they're not available, ask for Mr. Fox, or even ask for one of us, and we'll bring that student down and let you two have a private conversation in someone's office so it's not a big scene in the middle of the hallway.
Excellent. Mr. Bergman, would you like to take the next one?
Sure. Yeah, students are expected to follow instructions from adults in the building. Teachers, custodians, bus drivers, cafeteria workers, and guest teachers. And this is great to see. 98.5% of you answered true on that. That's correct. All staff members, you were to follow their instructions and their guidance. Okay, so I'm very proud to see that 98% of you answered that one correctly.
Mr. Smith?
Next question. Students must have a pass to be in the hallway during class time. The correct answer to this question was true, and 96% of you got this correct. Just so you know, students, if you're in the hallway without a pass, you will be stopped and either escorted or asked to go back to where you're coming from. The expectation is that you must have a pass from somebody in order to be in the hallway, especially during class time.
Excellent.
Next one, running, yelling, horse playing are acceptable behaviors during passing periods. I know I've had some conversations with some of you 7th graders about this. 95% of you answered the correct answer on that, which is false, right? It is not appropriate to run, to yell, to be disorderly in the hallways. That creates an unsafe environment for other students, for yourself, and for our staff members alike. So we need to be walking to the right in the hallway, using appropriate volume levels to make sure that we have a safe transition from classes during our passing periods.
Next questions. Students can't be tardy to lunch. This one was a little tricky because it was about half and half. The correct answer is false. You can be tardy to lunch. You have 5 minutes, just like any other passing period, to make it to lunch. And some of you should not have an excuse because a lot of you should be escorted to lunch by your classroom teacher, so therefore you should not have a reason to be late coming into the lunchroom. Sometimes we do close the lunch doors after that 5-minute window has passed and require you to go get a tardy pass. So once again, you can be late to lunch. It's just like any other passing period. You have 5 minutes to get there, and like I said earlier, you should have no reason why you're late because most of you should be escorted to lunch by your classroom teacher.
And I especially want to talk to 7th graders that have a lunch. As Mr. Smith said, we will be closing those doors, and you will not be permitted into the cafeteria without a tardy pass if you show up after the tardy bell. So that is I want that to kind of be a final warning for you guys. I know I've had conversations with many of you about getting to lunch on time, but that will be a new procedure that we will close those doors, and you will be required to get a tardy pass in order to enter lunch, and those tardies will count as your total tardy count.
All right, this is a big one. Next one.
Yes, students may receive consequences for instigating drama. 90% of you answered that correctly, so about 10% of you are off. That is true. You may get in quite a bit of trouble if you are trying to instigate drama. Mr. Smith and I see that often where a student will come down and say that this student's been talking about them or spreading rumors. Please understand that you can face some very serious consequences, including possibly suspension or even expulsion for instigating drama of that kind.
All right. Next question. Pajamas are appropriate to wear to school. The correct answer for this particular question was false, and 85% of you got that correct. It is not okay to wear pajamas to school. Pretty much, you're coming to school as if this is your job. You come professionally dressed, ready to learn, and do your best on an everyday basis. Like I said, pajamas are never acceptable to be worn to school, especially pajama pants, house shoes. The other day, we had somebody show up in a onesie. It is not okay to be at school in your pajama wear. You don't see staff members walking around in our pajama wear up in the front of the classroom trying to teach you in our pajamas. I wish we could, but it's just not a professional look. And like I said, we're striving to be professional here at Belzer, so no pajamas are allowed.
Next one, if your mom brings you to school late, you will be considered tardy. That is true, and only about 80% of you got that correct. So just to be clear, students, if you are being transported by your parents to school, if you're a car rider and you are late, that is considered tardy. You have to be on time, like the rest of the students, to school. The only excused late arrival would be on a late bus, a bus that is running late. Those students will receive a pink late entry pass, but students that are car riders or walkers, you must be here before 8:50 so that you are not considered tardy.
Next question. If you feel you or someone else is being bullied, you should report it to your counselor. And the answer, that is true, and 97% of you got that correct. Like you said, we're here to help you, support you, make you feel comfortable here at school, but we can't do anything if we don't know about it. So if you feel like someone's being harassed or bullied, tell somebody so we can help you and support you in the best way we can. But like you said, there's nothing we can do unless we know about it. So please keep us informed, whether it's you, a friend, or a friend of a friend. Just let an adult know so we can intervene to help you.